Let's go to Philadelphia. WURD, the word to Brian. Disco Brian, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton on Hot Button Monday.
Hey, Rev, I have two major Hot Button Manic Monday media moments from the weekend. But first, I wanted to ask, did you hear what Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger did last week, which was great, but only 160 years too late?
What was that?
She stopped taxpayer subsidizing pro-Confederate groups. So that's some good news that I wanted to drop at the top, even though it was 160 years too late.
That was great
There
news.
You go.
Right.
Yes, sir. And, Rev, to make this fully checkable, I'm going to tag you and Dominique and National Action Network on Twitter with links to the evidence so you and any listeners can verify any of my claims for yourselves. And again, my handle is Disco Brian Davis across social media. But the one I want to start with, Rev, is good news, more good news. Peter Magyar, the incoming prime minister of Hungary, who defeated Trump and Putin's friend Orban, and Netanyahu's friend Orban, incoming prime minister of Hungary, said something just absolutely glorious this weekend. Rev, have you had the chance to see Peter Magyar going on to the Fox News of Hungary yet?
No, I've not seen Magyar on Fox News of Hungary.
Okay. So he sat down with Hungary's version of Laura Ingraham, a blonde lady, on Hungary's Fox News equivalent, and said this. I'm going to quote him. On the very channel that has served for over a decade as the propaganda mouthpiece for Viktor Orban's regime, he said this, quote, "A core element of our program is that this lie factory will cease to exist after the formation of our government. We will immediately suspend this fake news service that is currently operating here and establish independent, objective, and impartial conditions. We know there is no perfect media, but what's been going on here since 2010, something that even Goebbels or the North Korean dictator would have admired, where not a single true word was uttered, that certainly cannot continue," end quote. I would like you, Rev, and the NAN community to envision a future where a president-elect in 2028 steps onto Fox News with that message and that pursuit. Wouldn't that be glorious,
Oh,
Rev?
it would be more than glorious, and it's something that we should aspire to see happen.
Amen, Rev. And the last thing I will end with today is what really, really concerns me on top of everything that you and Demetrius so far today have laid out. And that is this. What appears to be happening with our Democratic Party is a Corbynization of the party, the kind of drift that overtook Britain's Labour Party when Jeremy Corbyn became its leader in September 2015. As anti-Israel rhetoric was too often allowed to blur into anti-Semitism, which helped drive Labour into its worst election defeat since 1935. And as we see happening now by the progressive Democrats' blind, insane embrace of Piker and the candidate in Maine, Plattner, as well as Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, and Tucker Carlson.
The thing that has been fascinating about Marjorie and Candace, the fact that they have gotten off the sycophant train and are saying, we trusted the wrong person, is an important thing for us to put our arms around.
Not just progressives and liberals, but conservatives like Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even Ann Coulter spoke out against the horror of threatening genocide.
You see, Rev, Britain's own equality watchdog later found that Labour, the Labour Party, was responsible for unlawful harassment and discrimination against Jews. And that is the danger that I hear echoing in Mayor Mamdani's comments this weekend when he told Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, and I quote, we know very well what we oppose. But
What
what
are
are
we
we
for?
for?
That is a question
That
that I
is a
think
question
we have to be able to
answer. When you
look
look back at the history books of our party, 100 years ago,
100 years ago,
hear that, Rev. Mamdani said to Kristen Welker that 100 years ago, we Democrats had a very clear vision of what we were fighting for. And it's sad that for too many Americans, when they want to look for ambition in the Democratic Party, they have to turn to a history book, end quote. Rev, more and more Democrats today are parroting Mamdani's argument there, that the party has no governing vision, when, as you continually pointed out, the Biden-Harris administration, which Mamdani and Rashida Tlaib refused to endorse, gave the country one of the most progressive records in modern times. Major job growth, historic infrastructure investment, lower drug costs, stronger NATO, support for Ukraine, protection for reproductive freedom, and, of course, the crown jewel, confirmation of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. So when Mayor Mamdani says Democrats have to look back 100 years to find a clear vision, I have to ask, which Democratic Party of 1926
100 years ago
is Mayor Mamdani talking about? Because 1926, Rev, from everything you've taught us, was 40 years before the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act, and 20 years before the Democratic Party fully broke with the segregationist Dixiecrats. So, Rev, in case Mayor Mamdani or any of his leftist friends might be listening today, could you please remind us what this, quote, very clear vision of what the Democratic Party of 1926 was fighting for compared to what the Biden-Harris administration was fighting for?
Well,
and again,
in,
Rev,
in
I've read all this
1926, the Democrats were leading segregation. They were leading proponents of Jim Crow. You had 26 weeks going into a depression that Woodrow Wilson and Herbert Hoover. Hoover was a Republican, Wilson was a Democrat, who was a racist, who had the racist KKK, Birth of a Nation, KKK film played in the White House. So he can't be talking about 100 years ago, that clear vision. And I think I agree with you that why do we say that President Obama that passed the first Health Care Act in decades, dealt with protecting voting rights, dealt with police reform, put cameras on police after we all dealt with this in Ferguson, Missouri's incident, and picked up by Biden, where they went ahead and moved forward on all those areas and tried to have the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill passed, and under Biden had tried to get the George Floyd Justice and Police Act. How do you say that's not a vision? So I agree.
Thank you, Rev.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let me stay in Philly with Brother Jacob. Brother Jacob, WURD, the word. Jacob.